This is an article from the Business Insider, and they talk to women because typically women are the ones talking about childcare, talking to women about how much they're paying for their paid village. That's the title of this. Parents are turning to a paid village to handle childcare and cleaning. Costs range from $500 to $2,600. The bullet points for this article: six moms say they spend $500 to $2,600 a month to create their paid villages. Childcare is the most substantial cost, while many others also hire cleaners. They say paying for help is a necessity when both parents work. Now, I do want to know, I am 43, I'll be 44 this month. And I remember having my grandmothers, both of them, aunts and uncles and big cousins to watch me after school. So I know that the childcare cost for my mother growing up in the 80s and the 90s, it didn't look like this. So women were able to go back to work and not have to experience that. What were you, were you in childcare growing up? Did you have your aunties and uncles and grannies to watch you after school and before school? How did that work for you personally? So just answer that question. I'm about to get to the meat of the article. Amy Johnson, a mom of two in Cleveland, can count on her mother and mother-in-law to help with the kids and domestic chores every month. Despite that unpaid support, Johnson and her husband still pay $2,600 a month for childcare and cleaning, the sort of paid village Johnson say is essential when both parents are working. Life is currently a juggle between time and money, said Johnson, whose kids are 2 and 3. Johnson and her husband work full-time, and Johnson also runs the website Amy Baby. I feel if we don't use the time wisely to create more revenue streams, we're just going to sink. Parents around the country are struggling to pay for childcare costs, which are often higher than a mortgage or rent. In 2018, the most recent year for which data is available, median childcare costs range from $4,800 in small counties for a school-age kid at home to over $15,000 for an infant, according at a center, according to the Department of Labor. Adjusted for inflation, that was $5,000 to $17,000 in 2022 money. In a baby center poll of 2,000 mothers, 76% of respondents say that paying for childcare strains their budget. In addition to childcare, many families find they need to pay for other domestic services like transportation for their kids, grocery pickup, or cleaning, essentials that parents say they simply don't have time for while juggling their careers. That leaves families like the Johnsons trying our best to keep our heads above water. It's a familiar refrain for many parents around the country. Here's what 5 other parents pay to create the village they need to survive. A mom of 3 in rural North Dakota, over $1,300 a month. Katie Nostrom relies on unpaid childcare for her 3 kids, 9, 2, and 6 months old. When the kids aren't in school or at daycare, Nostrom's grandparents watches them as Nostrom works as a postmaster and her partner works in a welding shop. Daycare for the 2 younger kids costs $650 every 2 weeks or over $1,300 monthly. Nostrom's town is very rural, about 45 minutes from the nearest store. Geez. Like many rural Americans, she has limited childcare and other support. There are not a lot of options to create a village, no after or before school programs, etc. All right, a Texas mom of 3, $1,090 a month. Jessica Lemons lives in Bryan, Texas with her husband and 3 kids, ages 10, 5, and 2. She pays close to $1,100 monthly for childcare, including daycare tuition for her youngest and occasional babysitting for all 3. The cost would be much higher if Lemons couldn't count on unpaid help from friends and bartering of the skills of her husband, a chef. I am very fortunate that I have close friends who are childless by choice, who genuinely love spending time with my kids. I do make sure that I have a capacity to feed them tasty meals whenever they're doing so. So at least she's not just taking. Mom of one child, and it's $2,000 a month. Jesus. All right, it says L'Oreal Thompson Payton, a freelance writer living outside of Chicago, pays almost $500 weekly to send her 3-year-old to preschool. On rare occasions, she uses a babysitter. She and her husband also pay $25 an hour for a cleaner and hire one occasionally if they have guests coming to stay. While she pays for some of her village, Thompson Payton also cultivates unpaid support by connecting with daycare parents and neighbors with young children. While the costs are high, Thompson Payton said the benefits are well worth the money. I think there's a lot of unnecessary guilt and shame that can come with having a paid village, she said. As much as I love being a mom, it's important for me, my sanity, and our marriage that I have an identity outside of that, which would simply not be possible if we didn't have paid support. All right, so now we got Mom of Two in Tennessee, $520 a month. Marion Udi paid $1,600 a month for childcare in the San Francisco Bay Area when she got pregnant with her second child. She and her husband relocated to Knoxville, Tennessee, partly because they couldn't afford to pay more than $3,000 a month for childcare, what it would cost to get care for both kids. After moving, she paid $520 monthly for her daughter's childcare. Her son qualified for free preschool because he has special needs. Now that both kids are in school, Udi is looking for help to get them off the bus, do homework, and drive them to activities. She also budgets for summer camp costs, which exceeded $4,000 last year. Now, you see, Business Insider is talking to the moms, the women. Do you guys see and understand why women are opting out and why women are just tired? All of these experiences, all of these situations, all these stories are from women. There were no men that were weighing in, even though these women are married. They're just talking to the women because childcare, setting up all of these things, organizing always falls on the shoulders of the woman. So please know and understand why the child-free movement for women is growing, and trending up because women are opting out of being the sole parent responsible for all of these things. And obviously, on top of the child care and the women being responsible for handling most of that, we have the forced birther states that still have some kind of war against women. So just here recently, the Supreme Court won't let the Biden administration force Texas hospitals to provide emergency abortion care to like a woman that is having a medical emergency. I say let the birth rate plummet to hell, but that is me. I'm on team. Let the birth rate plummet to hell. Are you for increasing the birth rate or are you on team let it plummet to hell? Please weigh in the comments. The Supreme Court on Monday left in place a court order blocking the Biden administration from enforcing in Texas its policy of requiring hospitals to provide emergency abortion care or risk losing federal funding. The justices rejected a Justice Department request that they wipe away the lower court ruling and send the case back down for more proceedings. That ruling has struck down guidance from the Department of Health and Human Services, asserting that under federal law, hospitals were obligated to offer abortion in medical emergencies, even in states that ban the procedure. The move is a setback for the Biden administration in its uphill effort to assert some protections for abortion access since the fall of Roe v. Wade back in 2022. Monday's maneuver also keeps abortion off the Supreme Court docket for now, after two major cases last term, including one from Idaho raising very similar issues as the Texas dispute. The High Court's handling of both the Idaho and Texas cases leaves unanswered questions about whether, under a law known as the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, also known as EMTALA, federally funded hospitals must offer abortions to emergency patients with pregnancy complications, putting their health at risk, even in states that ban the procedure. Texas joined other plaintiffs, successfully sued to halt the Biden administration guidance to hospitals, asserting that EMTALA trumps state bans. These states want the right to let a woman die. Please keep that in mind as you're going to vote this upcoming election season. These states went to the Supreme Court to say, we want the right to allow a woman to expire. And the Supreme Court agreed with them. Please know and understand that the Supreme Court justices are on the ballot as well when you vote